In the heart of East Asia, a nation stands at a crossroads. Japan, a global economic powerhouse and a bastion of tradition, is facing a period of unprecedented change. For decades, its political landscape has been a picture of stability, dominated by a single party. But beneath this calm surface, the currents of discontent have been gathering force. Now, the dam has broken. Japan is in the midst of its most dramatic election in a generation, a political earthquake that could reshape the country and send shockwaves across the world. What led to this moment? And what does the future hold for the land of the rising sun? To understand the seismic shift happening today, we must look back. For over half a century, the Liberal Democratic Party, or LDP, has been the gravitational center of Japanese politics. Born from the ashes of World War II, the LDP oversaw Japan's miraculous economic recovery, transforming a devastated nation into the world's second-largest economy. This Japanese miracle was built on a unique model, a powerful bureaucracy working hand-in-glove with major corporations, all under the steady guidance of the LDP. This system delivered decades of prosperity and social stability. It created a society renowned for its safety, its efficiency, and its deep-seated sense of collective harmony. The LDP became synonymous with Japan itself. But the world didn't stand still. The 1990s marked a turning point. Japan's economic bubble burst, ushering in what became known as the lost decades. Economic growth stalled, and the once unshakable lifetime employment system began to crack. A new generation of Japanese workers faced precarious contracts and stagnant wages. The population, once a driver of growth, began to age and shrink at an alarming rate, creating a demographic time bomb that threatens the nation's social security system. While the world raced ahead in the digital revolution, Japan's corporate giants seemed slow to adapt, hampered by rigid hierarchies and a resistance to change. The LDP, the architects of the old system, struggled to provide answers for this new era of challenges. Public frustration simmered. A sense of stagnation, of a nation adrift, began to take hold. People started to question whether the party that built modern Japan was still equipped to lead it into the future. This discontent found its voice in a new wave of political opposition. For years, the opposition was fragmented and weak, unable to mount a serious challenge to the LDP's dominance. But a new generation of leaders has emerged, charismatic figures tapping into the public's desire for change. They speak of a new vision for Japan, a more dynamic, more inclusive, and more globally minded nation. They're proposing bold reforms, from deregulation to boost a sluggish economy, to greater support for working families and women in the workforce. They're challenging long-held taboos, discussing immigration as a solution to the demographic crisis, and advocating for a more assertive foreign policy in a region dominated by rising powers. Their message is resonating, particularly with younger voters who feel left behind by the old system and urban populations eager for a more modern approach to governance. The current election campaign has been electrifying. The battleground isn't just about policies. It's a clash of ideologies, a struggle for the very soul of Japan. On one side, the LDP, campaigning on its record of stability and experience. They warned that a change in government would bring chaos and uncertainty, jeopardizing Japan's security and economic recovery. They position themselves as the only party capable of steering the ship of state through the turbulent waters of the 21st century. On the other, a coalition of opposition parties, united by a single, powerful message: it's time for a change. They've filled stadiums with passionate supporters, harnessing the power of social media to bypass traditional media outlets and speak directly to the voters. The debates have been fierce, the political maneuvering intense. Every poll, every public appearance is scrutinized. The air is thick with anticipation. For the first time in decades, the outcome is genuinely in doubt. At the heart of this election are several key issues that will define Japan's path forward. First, the economy. How can Japan break free from decades of deflation and create sustainable growth? The opposition proposes stimulating domestic demand through direct support to households, while the LDP favors continued structural reforms and monetary easing. Both sides know that a failure to rejuvenate the economy will only deepen the public's malaise. Second, demography. With one of the world's oldest populations, Japan faces a looming crisis in its pension and healthcare systems. The debate rages over how to fund these services. Should taxes be raised? Should social spending be cut? Or can Japan find a way to encourage a higher birth rate and integrate more foreign workers into its society? These are not easy questions, and the answers will have profound implications for every Japanese citizen. Then there is the question of Japan's place in the world. In an increasingly unstable region, with a rising China and an unpredictable North Korea, how should Japan ensure its security? The LDP government has pushed for a reinterpretation of Japan's pacifist constitution, allowing for a more robust military role. This is a deeply controversial move in a country still haunted by its wartime past. The opposition, while acknowledging the security challenges, advocates for a greater emphasis on diplomacy and soft power. This election is, in many ways, a referendum on Japan's identity. Will it remain a pacifist nation, or will it embrace a more normal role as a major military and political power? The choice the Japanese people make will reverberate far beyond their borders, affecting the strategic balance in Asia and the world. As polling day approaches, the nation holds its breath. The traditional strongholds of the LDP in rural areas are being challenged like never before. Urban centres, once apathetic, are now buzzing with political energy. The youth vote, historically low, could be the decisive factor. The stakes could not be higher. A victory for the LDP would mean a continuation of the current path, a bet on gradual reform and stability. It would be an affirmation that, despite the challenges, the Japanese people still trust the party that has guided them for so long. But a victory for the opposition would herald a political revolution. It would usher in an era of uncertainty, but also one of potential transformation. It would signal that the Japanese people are ready to abandon the post-war consensus and forge a new path for their country. Whatever the outcome, one thing is certain: Japan is changing. The era of unquestioned one-party rule is over. The social contract that defined post-war Japan is being rewritten. The questions that have been simmering for years are now being debated openly and passionately. This election is more than just a choice between parties. It's a moment of national self-reflection. It's about what kind of country Japan wants to be in the 21st century. A country that holds fast to its traditions, or one that embraces radical change. A country that looks inward, or one that engages boldly with the world. The world is watching, and the choice that the Japanese people are about to make will define their future, and ours. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more deep dives into the events shaping our world.